I'll be living with my son's new bride, so you will take care of my husband forever. Ha 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 ha. The words from my mother-in-law hit me like a bolt from the blue. In simple terms, she's backing up her son who's having an affair. Moreover, it seems that my husband and my mother-in-law are planning to live at my husband's mistress' house from now on. In this house, my father-in-law lives with a wheelchair and he needs a care. By ignoring such a fact, my husband and my mother-in-law moved to the mistress' house. I can't forgive their behavior. But I also can't leave my father-in-law alone and leave this place. Just when I was wondering what to do, my father-in-law finally stood up. My name is Linda. I'm about to turn 30. My husband's name is Tom, and we married 3 years ago. We used to laugh at silly topics every day when we first got married, but recently our conversations have significantly decreased. Is this what's called familiarity? As we got to know each other, we desire not passionate love, but a stable life. Our marriage life is stable, but I also feel that every day is monotonous. And from about a year ago, Tom's overtime increased. He said that his work suddenly became busy. He never had any business trips before, but now he's leaving home once every few months. Having said that, he gives me living expenses and I also have a job. I don't have time to think about him all the time. When he occasionally came home early, we ate dinner together and filled in the blank time. When others look at us, they might see us as a couple who's fallen out of love. But that's not it at all. This is our way as a couple. For me, this marriage life was normal even I felt every day was same. Then one day, when I came home from work, my husband, who should not be at home this time, was there. His return is never earlier than 10 p.m., but it is still 7 p.m. now. "Welcome home." While thinking it's unusual for Tom to greet me, I asked him, "Tom, it is unusual that you come home this early. Did you not have overtime today?" Actually, I got a call that my dad had an accident during his work and was hospitalized, so I rushed off and came home." "Is it true? Your father?" According to his story, it seems that the car my father-in-law was driving collided with the car that ran a red light and rushed into the intersection. The doctor said, fortunately, his life is not in danger, but he may have to live in a wheelchair from now on due to paralysis in both legs and one arm. An accident? My father-in-law, who loves the outdoors, now has to live in a wheelchair. I was unable to keep up with this heartbreaking situation. My father-in-law, whose hobbies are hiking and fishing, used to take my husband and me to various places. He always says, "Let me know anytime if you need help." And he treated me like his own daughter. Such a father-in-law needs to live out of a wheelchair. I just couldn't believe it. My father-in-law runs his own company, but my husband works for a different company. So my husband first found out about his father-in-law's accident from his mother's call. It seems he's frustrated because he can't visit his father soon in these circumstances. I was also really sad by the fact that my kind father-in-law had become wheelchair-bound due to the accident. But this is not the time to be shocked. He looked me in the eye and spoke. "Linda, Mom has a favor to ask about Dad." "What did your mother ask for?" She's asking if we can help take care of Dad together." "Take care of your father? Together?" "Yeah, Mom's getting on in years. It seems like it would be difficult for her to do it alone. So she thinks it would be a big help if we carry our father together." "So, in other words, we have to move to your parents' house?" "We'll have to. There's plenty of room and space for us to live at home. Is that okay?" I couldn't answer. I care a lot about my father-in-law and I love him. Even so, it's hard to agree to a sudden request for help with the caregiving that I have never experienced. Of course, it's not that I don't care about my father-in-law, but I have a job. I don't know what to do if I'm suddenly asked to give care. I try to think hard to see if there's any other good solution. But no matter how much I think, I can't come up with anything. He seemed to sense something and looked at me straight on as he held my hand. Please, Linda, I know it's a new experience and it's tough, but if we leave it all to Mom, she might fall down next. I think it's going to be hard, but I'm working too. I want you to quit your job, Linda, and focus on caring for Dad with Mom. Leave the living expenses to me. Me? Quit my job? Yes, I'll work and support you. So please. Dad in his wheelchair and Mom who will be giving care, they both need your help. Tom was on his knees begging again and again. Seeing his desperate face, it was hard for me to refuse. So I quit my job as he said, and started caring for my father-in-law. After we started living together, and some time had passed, one day when we were having dinner, my husband suddenly stood up. He said he was going to take over his father's company and become the president. My father-in-law seemed surprised at this, but he seemed to be inwardly pleased that his son would take over his company. The father-in-law spoke to Tom with tears in his eyes. Tom, I can't believe you said that. You always said that you wouldn't work at my company. Well, that's like, I was just embarrassed. With Dad in this condition, I can't leave the company alone, can I? Thank you. I was worried about the future of the company. I was thinking about leaving it to someone I trust, but if Tom said so, I want to leave it to you. I knew you'd say yes. I'll do my best as a son. Yes, please. Please create a good working environment for my employees. Of course. After such a parent-child exchange, Tom took over as president of his father's company, and his father-in-law took on the position of chairman. Chairman has a strong image of retirement, but apparently there is a lot of work to be done. But my father-in-law left only his name in the company, and the whole company operation was actually done by Tom. 2 months has passed in no time since Tom took over as president. By this time, he was coming home late every night. At first, I thought, Tom is not used to the job yet, so it's inevitable that he's working overtime. But it's a little strange to work overtime every night for 2 months. And there was another reason why I was becoming suspicious of my husband. The smell he had when he came home. One day, I couldn't sleep for some reason. I had gone to bed at 9 p.m., but it was past midnight when I woke up. I was thirsty and went to the kitchen for some water when I heard Tom coming home from the entrance. I said, "Welcome home," to him, and I smelled soap from him. As soon as he saw me, he acted suspiciously and said, "It's late already. Are you still awake?" "Yeah, I couldn't sleep tonight. You're still coming home late, Tom." "Oh, shut up. I suddenly had to take over my father's business, and I don't understand anything about it. It can't be helped." "It's only been 2 months, so it's hard because you're not used to the job." "I'm going to bed now. I'm so tired." As my husband headed to the bedroom swiftly as if slipping through me, he indeed smelled of soap. Suddenly, I grabbed his arm and asked him in a strong tone, "Tom, who are you working overtime with every day?" "Huh? What are you talking about all of a sudden?" "No, it's just, you smell like soap, Tom." "You're imagining things. I'm working hard. Don't ask me such troublesome questions." Looking at my husband's expression, he seemed to be more irritated than usual. His attitude made me more and more uneasy. Tom noticed me trying to question him further and let out a sigh. "I really wish you would stop. It's annoying to be asked such questions as soon as I get home tired." "I didn't mean it like that. I was just curious." "Are you implying that I'm cheating? I'm working hard every day so you can live without any inconvenience." "I understand that, but..." "If you have time to investigate such nonsense, you should at least clean up. I'm not free." With that, my husband went upstairs to the second floor, deliberately making a lot of noise. When he entered the bedroom, he turned his back to me and started touching his smartphone. I tried to apologize, but he completely ignored me. The next day, my mother-in-law, having heard about last night from my husband, approached me with a fierce expression. Linda, you accused Tom of cheating yesterday, didn't you? No, that's not true. I just asked him who he was working overtime with. That's enough to suspect him of cheating. You can live because Tom is working hard for you. Did you say that knowing that? Of course, I understand that, and I'm grateful. I was just asking because I was curious. That's what I'm saying is wrong. What do you want to do by making Tom uncomfortable? It's unacceptable as a wife. My enraged mother-in-law dumped all the housework on me and left. My mother-in-law doesn't think highly of me. Although she pretends to share the housework in front of my husband and father-in-law. In reality, I am the one who does all the housework in this house. Naturally, I am the one who takes care of my father-in-law. During the day, my mother-in-law finds reason to go out, and she always comes home in the evening. My father-in-law, who mostly spends his time in his room, doesn't know that my mother-in-law is out so often during the day. He hardly ever leaves his room, except when he meets with company representatives who occasionally come to visit him. Furthermore, my mother-in-law has told me, "Don't say anything strange to James and Tom." I felt the unfairness of my self-centered mother-in-law, but all I could do was silently do housework and caregiving. However, the reason I was able to endure such a day-to-day life was largely due to the presence of my father-in-law. Every time I helped him, he would look genuinely sorry. Linda, I'm sorry. I'm sure you hate taking care of an old man like me. Don't worry about it. I think of you as my real father. I'm happy to be able to help. I'm glad that Tom married someone like you, Linda. Despite all the trouble I've caused you with my care, you still speak so kindly to me. I'm a lucky man. Father-in-law, I'm also happy to have such a kind person as my father-in-law. I have many days when I feel uncomfortable due to my husband and mother-in-law's behavior. Even so, I am just able to keep going because of the presence of my father-in-law who values me. My job is to wipe down my father-in-law before he goes to bed and turn off the lights. Today, when I finished everything and returned to the living room, my husband, who is usually not home at this time, was sitting next to my mother-in-law. He seemed to be having a conversation with my mother-in-law and was smirking. I had a bad feeling. And the next moment, my mother-in-law said something that far exceeded my imagination. "Oh, Linda, good timing. We have something to talk about." Talk about what? I'll tell you straight. Please take care of James here for the rest of his life. Mother-in-law, what do you mean by that? Tom and I decided to live with his new wife. Oh, a new wife? I was shocked by my mother-in-law's sudden words. What does that mean? A new wife? What on earth is my mother-in-law talking about? Why is Tom also silent? As if to mock my silence, Tom handed me the divorce papers. I have a woman I'm seeing right now, and I've decided to go to her house with Mom from now. What? What are you talking about? I'm going to pack up and leave with Mom. You can decide what to do with the divorce papers. I guess your job is still to take care of Dad, though. What? My vision went dark, and I collapsed on the spot. Ignoring me, my husband and mother-in-law packed their bags and left. Tears ran down my cheek in the silent living room. Then my father-in-law appeared in the wheelchair. Linda, what happened to Tom and Susan? I thought it was quite noisy and came to see what was going on. James, actually... Linda, what on earth happened? Why are you crying? I told my father-in-law about what had happened earlier. His face gradually hardened as he listened to my story, and towards the end, his eyes became fierce like a demon's. When my father-in-law quickly stood up, he spoke in a powerful voice that I had never heard before. Let's fight back, Linda. Huh? Your legs. James. I'm sorry for keeping it a secret. Actually, I've been able to walk for a while now. Don't worry, just leave everything to me. I'm ready. My father-in-law took something out of the drawer. It was a large envelope, and he showed me what was inside. This is James. The envelope contained numerous pieces of evidence of my husband's infidelity. And unbelievably, it also contained evidence of my mother-in-law's infidelity. According to my father-in-law, since Tom became president, he asked his trusted employees to monitor Tom's behavior at work. It turned out that Tom left work exactly on time every day, even though he always came home after midnight. My father-in-law, finding this strange, hired a private investigator to look into my husband. Incidentally, he also knew that my mother-in-law was going out during the day, so he investigated her as well. As a result of the private investigation, it was confirmed that both were cheating. Moreover, it seemed that my mother-in-law also knew about Tom's mistress. There were even photos of the three of them together. My father-in-law said he had obtained this evidence quite recently. He was wondering when to tell me about this. I know it's not right to say this, but I'm glad I could tell you. What do you want to do, Linda? I can't stand it like this. I want to fight back. I see. Then leave the rest to me. Afterwards, my father-in-law quickly grabbed his phone and made a call to someone. Apparently, the person he called was from the company, and my husband was ousted from his position as president afterwards. As told by my father-in-law, I filed for divorce. And with the evidence of infidelity, I demanded division of property from Tom through a lawyer. About a week passed. My lawyer may have contacted Tom. Tom came to my parents-in-law's house. As soon as he entered the house, Tom, who seemed outraged, spoke to me and my father-in-law in a stern tone. Hey, Dad, what's this all about? What's infidelity got to do with being ousted as president? Shut up. You didn't help me at all with my care, and you made Linda suffer. Someone like you being a president was too early. But I disown you. From now on, I won't even allow you to cross the threshold of this house. But Dad... Tom collapsed from his knees and was in tears, and he desperately appealed to me while I was looking at him with a face of scorn. Linda, I beg you. I'm okay with withdrawing the divorce, so please. What? I beg you. Please persuade Dad with me. I'll break up with the other woman. So I want you to drop the demand for division of property. Even at this point, he's still only thinking about himself. I was utterly disappointed in him, who was always only concerned about himself. In order to clear up the gloomy feelings I had up to this point, I became bullish and said, Withdraw the divorce? You know, what are you saying at this point? I never asked for that. I'm glad to be divorced from a scumbag like you. I'm not going back to you ever again. Does that mean, did you file for divorce? Of course. Why should I have to be married to a scumbag like you? You were divorced and you were ousted as president. Everything is your own doing. It's the seeds you sowed. What are you saying? Those divorce papers were just a threat. I thought so. You, your mother, your mistress, I hope you all go to hell together. Keep up on your spoiled ideas of getting help from someone. With that, I chased him out of the front door and slammed it shut. From outside, the sound of Tom wailing could be heard. Please help me. I was all wrong. I won't cheat anymore. Please forgive me, Linda. Dad, don't abandon me, please. James and I did not respond. Upon learning that Tom was ousted as the president, Tom's mistress promptly threw both of my ex-husband and his mother out of the house. With nowhere else to go, they were forced to live in a cheap motel for a few days. By losing job, Tom and his mother depleted their savings. Then they had a hard time making ends meet and they had to go into debt. By only working as a day laborer, They are unable to afford renting a room and just living from day to day. As for me, I'm still taking care of my father-in-law at his house.
You are welcome to stay here as long as you like,
he told me after the divorce. Indulging in his kindness, I decided to continue living with him. Recently, he has started going to a senior daycare center, so I work while he's out. There will likely be various issues in the future, but no matter what, I want to do everything I can for him.